Jack Doherty built a career on pushing boundaries, but one night changed everything. A heated argument at a Halloween party spiraled into violence, and what followed wasn't just a viral controversy, it was the beginning of a lawsuit that could ruin him. From reckless decisions to desperate legal maneuvers, this is the story of how one moment of chaos derailed his entire life. Jack Doherty launched his YouTube career with audacity as his calling card. His early videos featured stunts like trespassing on private property, confrontations with authority figures, and public pranks that flirted with legality. While many dismissed him as just another cringe YouTube kid, his ability to provoke reactions drew millions of views. Jack thrived on the chaos, building a loyal fan base of viewers who relished the spectacle of his reckless antics. As his channel grew, so did his ego. Jack's content evolved from lighthearted pranks to outright confrontations designed to stir controversy. He would often antagonize people in public or challenge social norms, unapologetically leaning into the role of the internet's bad boy. Critics pointed out the dangers of his behavior, warning that his hunger for attention could one day lead to real consequences. Jack, however, dismissed these concerns, doubling down on the shock value that kept his fans coming back. But there was more to his persona than just chaos. Jack knew how to monetize attention, turning his notoriety into a thriving business model. His live streams, merchandise, and sponsorships capitalized on the spectacle, making him a fixture in the influencer space. However, with each escalation, the risks grew higher, and the line between entertainment and recklessness became increasingly blurred. The breaking point came in October 2023 at a high-profile Halloween party attended by influencers and celebrities. Jack, always eager to create viral moments, streamed his every move. A heated argument erupted between Jack and two other guests over remarks he made during the party. What started as a verbal clash quickly escalated into physical confrontation thanks to the intervention of Jack's bodyguard, Kane. The chaotic scene would spark a chain reaction that would forever alter Jack's life and career. That night's drama didn't end when the livestream stopped. It was only the beginning of a legal battle that would expose Jack's poor decisions on a global stage. The 2023 Halloween party was everything you'd expect from an influencer-filled event. Lavish decorations, high-energy vibes, and an endless stream of content. For Jack Doherty, it was another stage to showcase his larger-than-life persona. Live streaming as usual, Jack seemed intent on making the night memorable, not just for himself, but for his audience. The tipping point came during a heated exchange between Jack and two partygoers, reportedly sparked by comments Jack made about one of the event hosts. The disagreement started as a typical verbal spat, with Jack egging them on for the sake of content. Instead of diffusing the tension, he escalated it, circling back to insult the pair repeatedly while narrating it all to his audience. As the situation grew more intense, Jack's bodyguard, Kane, entered the scene. Known for his intimidating presence, Kane positioned himself as the enforcer of Jack's livestream persona. But this time, he didn't just play the role of a protector, he became the catalyst for the night's most shocking moment. What happened next unfolded quickly. A single punch thrown by Kane struck one of the men mid-confrontation, leaving him on the ground. The viral clip of the punch quickly spread across social media, with viewers divided on what they saw. Some argued it was self-defense, while others pointed out that the victim hadn't posed an immediate threat. The fact that Jack seemed to encourage Kane's involvement, at one point hyping up the situation, only added fuel to the fire. From the outside, it looked like Jack had turned a minor argument into a full-blown physical altercation, all for the sake of creating content. In the days that followed, the narrative only got messier. Jack, instead of apologizing or addressing the incident with any seriousness, doubled down on his live streams. He laughed about the confrontation, brushed off criticism, and continued to use the footage to boost his views. But while Jack was busy spinning the story for clout, others were preparing to hold him accountable. The Halloween punch might have been a viral moment, but behind the scenes, it was about to become the foundation of a lawsuit that would change everything for Jack. The viral footage of the Halloween party altercation quickly caught the attention of more than just Jack's audience. Within days, the victim, who was sucker punched by Jack's bodyguard Kane, filed a lawsuit against both Jack and Kane, citing assault, battery, negligence, and emotional distress. What might have seemed like just another headline-grabbing incident for Jack was now turning into a legal nightmare. The The lawsuit didn't just focus on Kane's actions, it painted a broader picture of Jack's role in instigating the incident. The victim's legal team argued that Jack's behavior leading up to the altercation was reckless, emphasizing how he repeatedly antagonized the partygoers during his livestream. They also highlighted how Jack's encouragement of Kane created an environment where violence felt inevitable. For a jury, it would be hard to ignore how Jack seemed to thrive on chaos, often using his platform to provoke rather than pacify. Adding to the complexity was Kane's own history. Before working for Jack, Kane had been involved in a similar incident where he used unnecessary force. This pattern of behavior not only raised questions about Kane's judgment, but also cast a shadow over Jack's decision to employ him. It didn't help that Jack had joked about Kane's intimidating tactics in the past, treating his bodyguard's aggression as just another part of his brand. The lawsuit quickly gained traction online, with influencers, commentators, and fans dissecting every detail. Critics pointed out that Jack's response, or lack thereof, was doing him no favors. Rather than addressing the seriousness of the situation, Jack leaned into his usual antics, using the drama to generate clicks and engagement on his channel. For the victim and his legal team, this only bolstered their argument that Jack prioritized attention over accountability. But Jack's troubles didn't end with the victim's lawsuit. As the case unfolded, another surprising party entered the fray. Jack's own insurance company, State Farm, which provided his renters insurance, discovered that Jack had attempted to use his policy to cover the legal costs. This bold move not only highlighted Jack's desperation, but also set the stage for an entirely separate legal battle. Jack's attempt to shift responsibility was bold, but the insurance company's response would create a new layer of chaos, exposing just how deep his troubles went. As if facing one lawsuit wasn't enough, Jack Doherty managed to dig himself deeper into trouble with an audacious move that raised eyebrows across the board. In the midst of the legal fallout from the Halloween incident, Jack attempted to use his renter's insurance policy to cover the damages and legal fees. This decision not only surprised the public, but also angered his insurance provider, State Farm, who swiftly launched their own legal response. State Farm's position was clear. Jack's claim was invalid. The incident didn't take place on property covered by the policy, nor did the policy extend to acts of violence, especially ones tied to Jack's business activities. To make matters worse, the company argued that Jack's livestream footage, where he encouraged Kane and later promoted the altercation as content, cemented their case. The insurance company stated that the footage proved the altercation wasn't some unforeseen accident, but a willful act tied directly to Jack's brand. Jack's attempt to leverage his policy wasn't just a legal misstep, it revealed the chaotic state of his strategy. While he had built a career on pushing boundaries, this move demonstrated a lack of preparation for the real-world consequences of his actions. Instead of accepting responsibility or attempting to settle the original lawsuit, Jack seemed determined to shift blame and minimize his personal liability, even if it meant a losing battle with a major corporation. The State Farm countersuit made headlines as they sought a court declaration that they weren't responsible for covering Jack's legal expenses or any potential damages. For many, this was the tipping point where Jack's antics stopped being entertaining and started to feel like an endless cycle of poor decision-making. His attempt to skirt responsibility painted him as someone willing to manipulate the system rather than face accountability. Adding to the backlash was how Jack handled the situation publicly. Rather than addressing the gravity of two simultaneous lawsuits, he continued to livestream and joke about the events. Clips from his streams showed him mocking the lawsuits, claiming they wouldn't affect him, and even promoting his content as if nothing had happened. While his loyal fans ate it up, the broader audience saw this as a desperate attempt to downplay the seriousness of his situation. Behind the scenes, legal experts began weighing in, noting that State Farm's refusal to cover Jack was not only justified but also predictable. By trying to use a renter's insurance policy for an incident that occurred out of state and during a live stream, Jack had demonstrated either a profound misunderstanding of his coverage or a willingness to gamble on a highly unlikely outcome. Either way, the damage to his credibility was done. As lawsuits piled up and Jack's reputation took a nosedive, the fallout didn't just threaten his finances, it put his entire career at risk. The legal chaos surrounding Jack Doherty wasn't just a financial headache, it became a public relations disaster that threatened the very foundation of his career. Once seen as an unstoppable force in the realm of edgy YouTube content, Jack's reputation began to crumble under the weight of his actions. His brash responses to the lawsuits, coupled with his refusal to show genuine remorse, reviews painted a picture of a creator more interested in clicks than accountability. One of the first visible cracks in Jack's empire was the loss of sponsorships. Brands that had once aligned themselves with his youthful energy and massive online reach began pulling their support. For companies, the controversy surrounding Jack represented a risk they weren't willing to take. The viral punch, paired with the reckless live streams and ongoing lawsuits, made him toxic to advertisers. The fallout didn't stop there. Jack's audience, once fiercely loyal, began to fracture. While a core group of fans continued to support him, many others voiced their disappointment in how he handled the situation. Social media was flooded with criticism, with viewers calling out his refusal to take responsibility and his ongoing attempts to monetize the incident. Jack's livestream numbers, a key revenue source, saw a noticeable dip as viewers tuned out of the spectacle. The incident also had a ripple effect on Jack's overall business model. Merchandise sales, collaborations with other creators, and opportunities for expansion all took a hit. The controversy made it harder for Jack to secure partnerships, and his peers in the influencer world began distancing themselves, wary of being associated with his mounting problems. For Jack, the consequences were more than just financial. The lawsuits, combined with the public backlash, exposed a vulnerability he hadn't faced before. While he thrived on chaos and controversy this time, it wasn't under his control. The very tactics that had made him successful were now working against him, and his attempts to spin the situation into content only deepened the damage. Despite the mounting losses, Jack wasn't ready to back down. His next moves would leave many questioning whether he had learned anything from the chaos he created. The Halloween party lawsuit was not the first time Jack Doherty found himself at the center of controversy. His career has been marked by a long string of reckless decisions and questionable antics, each one pushing the limits of what his audience and society would tolerate. While these moments brought him attention and views, they also left a trail of consequences that seemed to culminate in the events of October 2023. From his early days on YouTube, Jack's content relied heavily on stunts that crossed boundaries. Trespassing on private property, creating public disturbances, and engaging in confrontations with unsuspecting people were common themes in his videos. Each stunt came with its own backlash, with critics accusing Jack of promoting dangerous behavior for the sake of clout. Yet he doubled down on the chaos, framing himself as an unapologetic disruptor who thrived on controversy. One of the more infamous moments in Jack's career came when he stalked other content creators to their homes, hoping to ambush them for collaborations. While this tactic succeeded in garnering attention, it also earned him widespread criticism for disregarding boundaries and personal privacy. Despite the backlash, Jack leaned into the notoriety, using the negativity to grow his platform and portray himself as a fearless creator. His pattern of pushing limits extended to physical altercations. Even before the Halloween party, Jack had been involved in public disputes that escalated into confrontations. His bodyguard, Kane, had a history of using unnecessary force in these situations, with one incident nearly resulting in legal action. Jack's decision to keep Kane on his payroll and even encourage his aggressive behavior highlighted a lack of foresight that would later haunt him. The Halloween lawsuit seemed like an inevitable outcome for someone whose career thrived on stirring conflict. For years, Jack had tested the limits of what he could get away with, and this time, the consequences were unavoidable. The pattern was clear. Jack's success was built on controversy, but it came at the cost of his reputation and eventually his stability. With years of reckless decisions catching up to him, the question wasn't just about the lawsuits. Could Jack find a way to rebuild, or was his downfall inevitable? Jack Doherty's story is more than just a string of bad decisions. It's a case study in the perils of chasing clout at any cost. For years, he thrived by creating chaos and pushing boundaries, but the price of his tactics has become clear. What seemed like harmless stunts and attention-grabbing antics unraveled into legal battles, financial strain, and a tarnished reputation that may never fully recover. Jack's situation underscores the risks of building a career on controversy. The internet rewards extreme behavior with views and engagement, but the fallout from crossing lines can be devastating. In Jack's case, his relentless pursuit of attention not only alienated his audience, but also turned brands, collaborators, and even his own insurance company against him. The fallout wasn't limited to his online persona. It seeped into his personal and professional life, leaving him scrambling to hold on to what he'd built. What's particularly striking is how preventable much of this was. Had Jack shown restraint during the Halloween party or taken responsibility afterward, the story might have played out differently. Instead, his decision to double down and treat the incident as just another content opportunity compounded the damage. The lawsuits, the backlash, and the loss of credibility were all consequences of choices Jack made long before the party. With his career on the brink, Jack's next steps will determine whether he can salvage what's left, or whether this is the end of the road for one of YouTube's most controversial creators. If you thought this story was wild, you won't want to miss what happens in this next video.